Yo, today we're gonna be taking the political compass test. Let's just get right into it. So, if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Purely because if economic globalization is inevitable, it should like serve people rather than the companies. You feel me? Um, I'd always support my country, whether it's right or wrong. Um, I would support my country, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna support the candidate, right? Like, I don't like Trump or Biden. So no one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Um, I would disagree with that because you can be very like, you can be proud of your culture, you can be proud of like your heritage and shit. Our race has many superiority. Yeah, no, this is strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Um, I guess they can be temporarily. Like look at World War II, right? The Soviet Union and the U.S. or sorry, the Allies. They teamed up against Germany, but right after, like, they knew that they didn't actually like each other and went straight into the Cold War. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Yeah, no, I would disagree with that. That shit's in place for a reason. There is a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Yeah, I would disagree with that. Look at the way people in my generation, Gen Z, are getting their information nowadays. Like they're getting it through podcasts and a lot of this long form content. Um, so yeah, no, I would disagree with that. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. Yeah, I would strongly agree with that. We have to look at like the shrinking of the middle class that we have now, and all of this shit. It's like I guess if you look at like the 50s and 60s, like that was a polarizing time. Like when you're looking at like the racial tensions, and when you look at now, like I guess there's some racial tension, but it's nowhere near what it used to be in the past. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Yeah, I would agree with that because like if you're gonna control unemployment, what are you gonna force people into jobs? Or like realistically, the only way you can quote unquote control unemployment is giving businesses like greater opportunity to like find a gap in the market and stuff like that. So um because corporations cannot be trusted voluntarily to protect the environment, they require regulation. I would agree with that. Purely because business, if the culture doesn't like want to support or doesn't want to help the environment, there's no need for or there's no push for those businesses to actually self-regulate and protect the environment. Like look at the industrial revolution. Like they were purely just profit driven, and I get it, but there was no culture around protecting the environment like we kind of do now. Like we're kind of pushing or going towards that now. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. I would disagree with that because, like, I guess on paper, if you want a communist society, yeah, it's a good idea. But to each according to his ability, like, you just put in as much as you can and you just get what you need. But people have their wants. They have all these things in Confluencism, right? Like people are driven to work harder to get things that they want, right? Based on how hard they work. So it's like if you work hard enough, you will get what you need, but everybody has their wants, you know? The freer the market, the freer the people. I would disagree with that, right? I don't know. That's tough, actually, because yeah, I would say I would disagree with that because the freer the market, the freer the people. I would say the freer the market, the freer the businesses, right? It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Yeah, no, I would definitely disagree with that. What you're buying, a bottled water, like you're buying the convenience of that water rather than the water itself, right? Like if you wanted to, you could have a well in your backyard or something. Land shouldn't be a commodity that is bought or sold. Yeah, no, I would strongly disagree with that. Giving people the right to own land is just, it's like one of the greatest things. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply, manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Yeah, no, I would definitely disagree with that. Like in Confluencism, there's a shift in the perception of what investing is compared to like what investing is in a regular capitalist society, right? In Confluencism, it gives people the ability to invest with the intention of actually helping society through like projects and giving the investors, which is the citizens of the country, like a return rather than just being a stockholder of a business. You know, of course you would invest in businesses as well, but like the perception of it, I guess you could say, is like slightly different compared to like the stock market and capitalism. And if you want to see more or like what I think about that, you can look at my community wealth fund video that's on my channel right now. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like if we look at our economy right now, we've lost like 90% of our manufacturing in the US, and it's kind of it's a lost sector like for us, and we're just being undercut purely for profit, and it's kind of sad. But there's ways to make it more profitable in the US to have businesses bring their manufacturing back and to the US. And I also have a video on this as well. The only social responsibility of a company should be delivering profit to its shareholders. I mean, I would disagree with that, right? Like, they also have the responsibility of delivering a good product, right? The rich are too highly taxed. I would disagree with that. They're not like, I'm not saying they're not overtaxed, but they're not too highly taxed. I wouldn't say that. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. I mean, I like the idea of a sort of universal healthcare option, but you know, there's some nuances there. So I could definitely make a video on that if people are interested. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I mean, that shit's 1984 as fuck. I would disagree with that. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to yeah, no, 100%. If you're just gonna allow businesses to buy out other companies and not allow there to be a lot of competition, there's no it's just dangerous. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. I would disagree with that, right? Like, we shouldn't just give we shouldn't just like hand out abortions, but if a woman is raped, or if a woman's life is threatened, that's like low-key, in my opinion, like that's like the only time like women should be allowed to have abortions. Like, all authority should be questioned 100%. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I mean, I disagree with that. Like that can really bring you down like a bad path. Like, you can get yourself into shit that can be pretty dangerous, I guess. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theater or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I don't even have to say why. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I 100% disagree with that. School and education is one of the most important things, and I actually think people should have access to more education than we do now. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us to stick. Yeah, no, what the hell? That's just racist. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Yeah, I mean, it's different. There's a difference between spanking your kids and absolutely abusing them, right? Like your 5-year-old is acting up, like just give him a smack in the butt, or like they're hit him with the chocolate, right? Like there's a difference between like absolutely abusing your kid and just kind of hitting them, I guess, or spanking them. Like it's natural for children to keep secrets from their parents. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like I keep secrets from my parents. Like it's pretty normal. Um, Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I strongly agree with that. Like 90% of states or some shit like do not. It's not illegal. Like federally, I don't think it should be illegal. I think it should be legal federally. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. No, I definitely agree with that. Like I go to a trade school, and I think it's a great opportunity for kids to find a job when they get right out of high school. I'm not going into the trade. I'm in plumbing, but like I'm not, I did want to be a plumber. I tried it out. I didn't really like it. But yeah, it's definitely it's a good thing for kids just to have that opportunity to find a job. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. No, I definitely disagree with that. I'm not some like uber eugenist, like like or eugenics, whatever the hell it's called. Like, I don't agree with that. The most important thing for children is to learn and accept discipline. I disagree with that. It's not the most important thing, but children to accept or understand discipline from their parents is important, but it's not the most important thing. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. Yeah, no, I definitely disagree. Sorry, I do disagree. Damn, I agree with that. Definitely. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. Yeah, I strongly agree with that. I have this video, or I have a video talking about a quote unquote transitional based income, where say you're in between jobs and you're actually showing your local government like I'm looking for a job, I'm applying for jobs, and like I'm not just like throwing my interviews and like all that. Like there's a way to go about it. And I'm just not getting jobs, and I need to be able to support my family. Like this transitional based income would only be covering your housing, your food and water, like your utilities, those sorts of things. Like it just covers your bare necessities, and like maybe your internet. I don't know, but like we're in a new age. Like everybody needs internet. But if you're making money on the internet, like you're not going to get that transitional based income, because you do have to report your income from having an online store and things like that. So like when you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I mean, I would kind of disagree with that. Like sometimes you have to take things for faith, like where, but no, I like if you're troubled, you definitely need to focus on the things that are really like eating at you, I guess. Like it's pretty nuanced. Like it depends. Like I don't know. Like that's super broad, super broad. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. No, I definitely disagree with that. First generation immigrants, like they could be here for 40 years. Like they could be here longer than they were in their first country. And I would say like they can definitely be very fully integrated, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to like assimilate and like change their way of life type of thing. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. No, I strongly disagree with that. Like you can look at now, right? Like BlackRock or the stock market in general was soaring, and the middle class is still shrinking. Like we've had the greatest transfer of wealth in this country. We've had so many new billionaires be made in this country, and We've seen a crazy shrinking of the middle class. Um, no broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I mean, I disagree with that. Like, if you want to support like your public news, like you should have the ability. Um, our civil liberties are excessively being curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I definitely agree with that. Like, there's mass surveillance of in this country. Like, everybody's being like watched in some sort of way, and even if you're not doing anything wrong, you're still like, it's still like wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's a way to go about it where we're not watching everybody, but they're not doing it. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments and the delay of the democratic political system. I mean, I disagree with that. Like, there's one-party countries where they still have some sort of like democratic, like intrapolitic, like elections, but and they still have arguments and like what they agree with, right? Like, there's gonna be arguments all the time, but it's not necessarily an advantage. Um, Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Yeah, that goes with this, right? Like, I disagree with that. Um, the death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, if you rape somebody, or you're a serial killer, or even just a murderer, like, I think it should be an option. Not that that's the go-to, but that should definitely be an option for sure. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and below to be commanded. Um, this is a tough one, right? Like, in the business world, I would agree with that, but in a regular society, that's not necessary to have a functioning society. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I would definitely disagree with that, right? Like, if someone wants to spend 50 grand on a painting, like, why not, right? Like, in a criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. No, I think rehabilitation should be more important than punishment. Um, it's a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. See, it might seem quote unquote like contradictory to say that I agree, but some are just low life offenders who robbed something, or like something small, but there are people who will 100% leave prison and do the same thing again. So, like, the business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I would disagree with that, right? Like, the business person and the manufacturer, they are the ones that contribute monetarily to the society. But the writers, like, they keep track of like our history and our culture, and same with the artists, right? Like, they make the culture, they represent the culture in a way. Like, you can look at art throughout history and how it's changed, and you can also see, like, right on side of that, like, writing and all of that, like, they show how the culture and the history has changed over time. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I would disagree with that. Like, it could be a mother or a father who would have their first duty to be homemakers, but there does need to be a parent who has that as like their first duty, and parents should have the ability to like make enough money to have a stay-at-home parent, kind of, you know what I mean? But we don't in today's world, because like parents or households don't make enough money to live off one salary. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to our efforts to curb global warming. I mean, I would agree with that, right? Like, if we're on the path of still using fossil fuels and all of these things, but we can still have growth in our economies and still curb global warming. Like, I have a video on that, on how we can go about global warming, and yeah, I would just watch that video to kind of see how I think more about this. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I would strongly disagree with that, man. Like, the establishment is not based at all. Astrology accurately explains many things. I would strongly disagree with that. I mean, I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna say why. Um, you cannot be moral without being religious. I would disagree with that. Like everybody has their own moral compass, right? Like some people might say, "Oh, your morals, you may not be religious, but they're based on religion." I do believe in God, um, but I'm not necessarily considering myself a Christian. So I don't know. That's pretty nuanced, I guess. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I mean, they both help, but charity definitely does like actively do that, I guess. Unlucky. Yeah, no, I would disagree with that. I guess something could be considered quote unquote unlucky, but there's no one who's naturally unlucky. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Um, no, I would disagree with that. I've grown up in public school, but I think religious values should always be instilled, or at least talked about, like with parents, right? Like I think it's important to leave that to the parents, for sure. Ooh, okay. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I mean, I would disagree with that. Like, there is low-key a growth in like not a growth in culture, but there's been a growing culture, I guess you could say. Um, like there's been a lot, like a growth in like hookup culture. Um, I don't know. That one's it depends on your religious values and like that would definitely affect your answer. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Yeah, I strongly agree with that. Like I have gay people in my family, and they were looking at adopting, but they didn't. But they should not at all be excluded from the possibility of adopting a child. Like there are so many kids who need to be adopted, and I think two-parent households um, should definitely have a big I guess advantage to adopting children. Like if I mean one parent households, I mean that's definitely more nuanced. But you know, pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Yeah, I mean I would agree with that for the adult population, 100%. What goes on in private bedrooms between consenting adults is no business of the state. I mean, yeah, that's obvious. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I disagree with that. I mean, like I said, like I live with two gay people. Like, I mean, one of them had a kid, but she's gay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, you can be gay. Um, these days, openness about sex has gone too far. Nah, I mean, I would disagree with that for sure. All right, let's see where I land. So this is the scale, right? Off the left, so commies, uh, Democrat, Republican Party, Argentina, and I don't know what would fall here. Yeah, so we got Uruguay, Switzerland, Argentina is probably like around here. U.S. is probably around like here or something. Like Trump's probably around like here. Kamala's probably around here. Same with Joe Biden. Okay, let's see where I fall. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that seems about right. Seems about right. All right, so yeah, this is where I fall. Um, if you want to support them, Political Compass, you can donate. So yeah, this is where I fall. Peace.